The world of strength and combat has always fascinated fans who crave pure power and raw aggression. These titans are not just athletes, they are living monuments of discipline, forged in sweat and pain, whose sheer presence bends the atmosphere around them. When these giants trade the iron bars of the gym for the brutal lights of the ring, the spectacle becomes something mythical. Every punch thrown seems capable of rewriting human limits, every knockout a thunderclap echoing across the world of combat sports. This is the story of those who refused to be confined by the title of strongest man and sought something greater, the chance to prove that raw strength could dominate even the most refined fighters. Mariusz Pudzianowski was among the first to challenge this boundary. Known as the Dominator, the Polish powerhouse ruled the world of strongman competitions, winning 5 World's Strongest Man titles. But he didn't stop there. He carried his monstrous frame into the world of mixed martial arts, driven not by the pursuit of fame, but by an unquenchable hunger to test himself in a new arena. Watching Pudzianowski fight was like witnessing a storm in human form, unpredictable, violent, and unstoppable. His opponents entered the cage confident in their skill, only to find that all their technique meant nothing against the force of nature standing across from them. Every fight began the same way, calm before the chaos. Then, in an instant, Mariusz would unleash his power. His fists didn't simply hit. They crashed like hammers. Opponents fell, not because they lacked skill, but because no amount of training could prepare them for that kind of impact.
Each victory added another layer to his legend, turning the strongman into a folk hero of combat sports. His fights became viral phenomena, where fans didn't come to see technique or grace. They came to witness destruction in its purest form. The world of combat, however, is never satisfied with one legend. As Mariusz carved his path, another colossus emerged from the icy lands of Iceland, Hafthor Bjornson, known to millions as the Mountain from Game of Thrones. Unlike Pudzianowski, Bjornson's fame began in the world of pop culture, but his heart remained rooted in competition. When he and fellow strongman Eddie Hall decided to settle their rivalry inside a boxing ring, the world held its breath. These were not fighters by trade, they were living embodiments of strength itself. The ring looked too small to contain their egos, let alone their bodies. When the bell rang, what followed was less a boxing match and more a myth come to life. Every punch carried the weight of mountains, every movement thundered like tectonic plates shifting beneath the earth. Eddie Hall struck first, sending Bjornson reeling, but the mountain rose again, unshaken. His counterpunches were surgical in their brutality, breaking through Hall's guard and testing the limits of human endurance. By the final bell, Thor Bjornson had cemented himself not just as an actor or a strongman, but as a legitimate fighter, a symbol of willpower forged through pain. But for every titan that rose, there was always another waiting in the shadows. Bob Sapp, the Beast, was one of the earliest to bridge the gap between freakish size and terrifying athleticism. Standing over 6.5 feet tall with a body built like a tank, Sapp was a force of chaos. In his prime, he didn't fight, he devoured. Fighters like Ernesto Hoost, legendary in their own right, fell victim to Sapp's uncontrollable power. Watching him charge forward was like watching a bull break loose from its pen, unstoppable, primal and terrifyingly fast. Sapp's fights were spectacles of rage, and while his career would later spiral into showmanship and controversy, his early years remain unforgettable. He didn't just defeat opponents, he annihilated them, leaving referees scrambling to stop the carnage. For a time, Bob Sapp was the embodiment of the beast within, proof that raw power, when unrestrained, could overwhelm even the most skilled fighters. From the frozen north to the fiery rings of Japan, the era of strongmen in combat was defined by extremes. Thor Bjornson and Eddie Hall carried the torch for the modern generation, their battles filmed in 4K for millions to witness. But beyond the spectacle, these matches represented something deeper, a timeless clash between brute force and refined skill, between instinct and intellect. Even as the world laughed at their lack of technique, there was something undeniably magnetic about watching these giants risk everything to prove their worth in an arena where muscle alone couldn't guarantee victory. Then came the rise of Ivan Sturkov, the Russian Hulk, a man seemingly engineered for destruction. With the composure of a soldier and the savagery of a predator, Sturkov stormed through his opponents like an avalanche. His fights were clinics in brutality, each punch thrown with surgical precision and devastating intent.
Unlike his predecessors, Sturkov combined his power with terrifying efficiency. His victories over seasoned fighters like Antonio Bigfoot Silva and Thiago Silva didn't just make headlines, they sent shockwaves through the MMA world. Each of these fighters, Pudzianowski, Bjornson, Sapp, Sturkov, embodied a different facet of strength. They were not artists of combat but architects of dominance, reshaping what it meant to be a fighter. Where others trained to master technique, they trained to master pain. Their stories remind us that fighting is not only about skill or strategy, it's about the will to stand tall when the body begs to fall. When these men stepped into the ring, it wasn't about trophies or fame. It was about legacy. Every blow was a declaration that strength still mattered in a world obsessed with finesse. Their scars became medals, their defeats lessons written in blood. They reminded the world that even in an age of science and strategy, there's still something deeply primal about raw power unleashed. Their journeys, though different, share a common truth. Every titan eventually meets his match. Yet what defines them is not their victories, but their refusal to bow down. They may stumble, they may bleed, but they never break. Because true strength isn't measured in muscle or might, it's measured in the will to rise again. No matter how many times the world tries to crush you, and so, as the lights fade and the crowd's roar dies down, these giants walk away knowing they've etched their names into the history of combat. The strongest men on Earth didn't just lift stones or bars, they lifted the very limits of human potential. If you've made it this far, you know strength isn't just about what you can lift, it's about what you can endure. Which of these warriors impressed you the most? Do you believe sheer power can still triumph over technique in today's world of combat? Let us know your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the legends of strength, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next story of giants who defy the impossible.